Live from Los Angeles. It's time to get inside the Gamers Dome with your host, Scott Gerhardt. Bringing you all of today's gaming news and information all in one place. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Welcome to the Gamers Dome.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 21 of the Gamers Dome. If 3 weeks ago we were legal, now we can drink.
Yeah.
I thought I beat you to that one.
Nope, I already had it in my head, but you beat me to saying it out loud.
So welcome, everyone, to the special Monday edition of the Gamers Dome. Obviously, Monday's not exactly our normal day here. But I've actually been involved with I don't think the movie's small, though my role in it is, production, and they needed me on set for tomorrow, so I'm going to be doing that. So, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I can't argue too much.
I'm a lot happier since I saw what the prices are estimated to be about the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Yeah, I was pretty happy about those. We're going to get to that story for sure because that made me happy as well. Made me feel like this is hopefully going to be something a little bit more
not as horrifying as it really kind of seemed like.
Exactly. So, yeah, actually, I've been playing a lot more Magic lately. I actually played in two reasonably large scale, well, not large scale, but I mean two reasonable tournaments this last weekend. I played in a GPT on Saturday. Got the worst pool ever. I mean, it was awful. For those Magic players out there, I had 10 creatures, none of which had power over 3, and only one of which actually had a power of 3. I had no win condition. I had some removal. It was okay, but I managed a 3-2 record, which, while the week before was good enough to squeak me in at 8th with the tie breaks, this week it got me 10th, and I did not even get a set of steak knives. I believe I was fired.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I woke up at 5 in the morning on Sunday to play in an online Pro Tour qualifier. And I opened an okay deck. I started off 3-0, and then I ended up losing my next 3 in a row due to just some horrid mana. Like some just really wacky draws, which, I mean, it happens sometimes. What's funny is that tournament actually crashed and didn't complete. Go Watsy. Well, no, actually, I'm kind of happy because of how it happened. They gave me my entry fee back, and they gave me 2 free packs for having 9 points after 6 rounds. So I actually made a profit off a tournament that I got my butt kicked in.
Well, that's good then. But I mean, like if it crashes, yeah, they're gonna have to give you something.
Exactly. The people who were like 6-0, they were not happy.
I bet.
Yeah, they're redoing the tournament and allowing free entry to anyone who was like 4-2 or better after 6 rounds. Well, it's free entry to them, and they're the only people who are even allowed to enter. But I don't know. I could understand why some of them might be very upset, but there's only so much you can do. You run across technical issues.
Yep.
So what's going on there? How was your weekend?
My weekend was very relaxing. I really just kind of enjoyed the pool and the backyard, and that's about it.
Yeah, that seems like a good plan for being in Vegas in being in Vegas in June.
I don't understand how I lived here for 5 years before moving back, like before leaving, and I didn't have a pool. Like, I don't understand how I survived. Now that I have it, I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Vegas.
Like, you just come home and it's like, even if you don't even want to like get into a swimsuit, like just put your feet in the water and it's instantly better.
Yeah, Vegas can be a little warm, but luckily in Vegas, specifically at the Cashman Center, it's going to be quite nice. So why would I mention the Cashman Center? I'm so glad you didn't ask. The weekend of June 22nd, we have Grand Prix Las Vegas coming up. This is, guys, this is Modern Masters sealed. Like, first of all, if you guys are keeping up with Modern Masters at all, which we'll get to, good luck even getting your hands on product to begin with, let alone being able to do a seal deck or a major tournament with it. The guys at Cascade Games, Tim and his group there, are doing a fantastic job. They are prepared to run one of the biggest Magic tournaments of all time. If you want to be a part of Magic history, because they are going to make it, it's just a question of do you want to be a part of it. June 22nd in Vegas. Go to CascadeGames.com for information on how to pre-reg, and you should pre-reg. It is very possible that this GP could fill to capacity. So you definitely want to pre-register. We're not sure what the capacity is. I know they have capacity. They're not capping it. But you definitely want to get in on the pre-registration. That's extremely important. That's how you absolutely guarantee your spot. The prices for this tournament are extremely reasonable considering it's a GP with Modern Masters. So again, CascadeGames.com. Check them out. Hey, Amber, you wanna discuss a little bit of news?
Oh boy, do I?
It's been more of a light news week. We don't have nearly the stories that we normally do, but there are definitely a few interesting ones in there, and I would like to.
Some are a little sad.
Yeah, but... and we're going to start with a sad one here, and this is something that just came down the pike this afternoon. Zynga, the
Farmville.
Yeah, people make Farmville and all that. Those social games have announced 520 jobs cut, which represents about 18% of its total workforce.
Which I knew they were large, but like, if 520 jobs is only 18% of their workforce, they might be a little bit overstaffed in the first place.
Well, I mean, for a while there, they were definitely really growing. I mean, Zynga's got a lot of games. I mean, they do Farmville, they do all the Words with Friends and all the With Friends games, and there's a ton of other stuff.
Yeah.
My opinion on this is that Zynga was an early adopter of social gaming, and because of that, they were able to get a very large market share early on. And it was good. I mean, I'm sure profits were great then. The problem is a lot of other companies are realizing that that's where the money is, and a lot of bigger companies are starting to step up to the plate and get involved in social gaming. As a result, we're getting better social games. Like, let's be real honest here. Is Farmville the greatest game of all time?
No, it was, yeah.
No,
you're right. It served its purpose.
But it had an insane player base. Well, it had an insane player base because it was very accessible for people of all ages and genders to play. And
it had a brilliant system of growing in its community. Yeah, it was
exactly. And it was about the only game in town.
Yep.
When it started. So, I mean, there were a few other ones, but I mean, really, it was the big one in town because it was just there was hardly anything out there. Now, with everything else growing out there, it's a lot more companies, and Zynga just doesn't have the market share. They're just not generating the ad revenue and the revenue through other stuff that they were before.
Yep. It's sad. And, I mean, I've gone through layoffs before at video game companies, and, you know, the cool thing about it is all of those people who work together, they're all going to keep each other, like, on LinkedIn or whatever, and as soon as somebody finds an opening somewhere, they're going to start working people in, and, like, I had a company I was at after one of the video game companies laid off a bunch of us. And I think in about a year, there was 4 of us that worked together at that video game company, now working at a company that had nothing to do with video games. So the cool thing about, I guess, it sucks that they're getting laid off en masse, but knowing the way the industry works, everyone's gonna be watching out for each other, and having a place like Zynga under your belt is gonna look really good on the resume. So
Yeah.
good luck for you guys who got laid off, and I am sorry about it.
Well, continuing upon sad news, but not sad news from now, but rather sad news from 30 years ago, there has been a documentary which is aiming to unearth millions of copies of the old Atari game E.T.
I don't understand this, because weren't they destroyed before they buried it and put concrete over it?
Well,
they're gonna find like little bits of cartridges.
Probably. I'm dating myself here. I've played the Atari game E.T. Admittedly, my age was I was young enough that I enjoyed the game because it was E.T. and E.T. was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it certainly was a very large gamble for Atari to go in there. E.T. was a big hit. They wanted to they really wanted to capitalize on this. They made a ton of copies of the game, which just simply didn't do well at all.
And it will be interesting to see what they find.
Yeah. It virtually
they really are just digging up like destroyed video games that were put in a hole and put concrete over.
Well, and it's
archaeology.
And that's the thing too, is that we don't even know for sure that this occurred. We think we know, but it's currently alleged. Now we generally know what the word alleged means, but we'll have to see, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about it when it actually occurs, and see if it's legitimately like what they find and what's going to be the angle in the documentary. I mean, they haven't even started this, and I'm interested in it.
Well, they're definitely gonna have to show gameplay, so at least for those of us with our Ataris that didn't have the ET game, we can live vicariously through the footage they show.
So, moving from the Atari 2600 to the Xbox One, the 2600's got 2,599 on the Xbox. But
oh man, I don't know what it was just now. I miss playing Burger Time like crazy.
Don't mention Burger Time. I'm going to get hungry.
It was such a good game. And the thing that I'm sorry, I have to go off on a rant about this because I haven't been able to ask anybody. Do you remember how there was the fried egg in it?
Uh-huh.
When I was a kid, no adult could explain to me why eggs were involved with the hamburger building process. Why they were even in there. And my mom said, she was like, oh, it's just another character. She just kind of blew it off. And now that I know, having friends from the UK and everything, that's quite common over there. So.
Oh yeah, I've had eggs on burgers before. I've been to places like Red Robin that's one of their signature burgers, and a few other places that put a fried egg on the burger. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, it's good. Growing up, we didn't have that in our area, I suppose.
Really,
nobody could tell me.
How sanitary could that be? You dropped the ingredients down by stepping on them.
You don't actually eat the burger; you just build them.
Well, but then you're wasting it.
They're evil.
Oh, okay. Xbox One and PS4. Yes. How much are they going to cost? Well, we don't know at the moment, but a big analyst with Wedbush Securities, Michael Pachter, has noted, and he sent a note to the investors by the Game Industry International, and he believes that the Xbox One is going to retail for about $400, with the PS4 coming in at about $350. And these estimates are coming in from the bill of materials figures.
So he's basically looking at what they're using to put it together, and he's just slapping on like what, $25 on top of that.
I believe it's $75, but I'm sure there are other costs involved.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it is 75.
So these numbers are certainly a little lower than I thought they were going to be. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a pretty penny to pay out, but it gives me a little more hope here. I thought I was going to be shelling out for about $500 for an Xbox, and if it's actually $400, that would be good.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt as much. I still probably won't get one. I'll let my friends get one, and then oh wait, I can't bring my games over to play. Oh, never mind.
So, World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this one.
I'm
always iffy about like movies made about video games, but like this one, like might actually. I mean, they could have a good plot.
I think World of Warcraft, at least for me, is going to be like Avatar. It is a movie that you definitely want to see on the big screen, but that doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's good to be. There's going to be special effects, and it's going to be a beautiful looking movie. And you know what? It might be okay. I think if you're a WoW player, you will enjoy it. But I don't think it's going to have the mass appeal. And the truth is I mean, WoW's on the decline right now. It's going down, and they haven't even started filming this. So I'm getting a little concerned that by the time this thing actually comes out, no one might care.
Well, I think the people will still care, honestly. I mean, even though it is not, it's not being played as much as it was before. The storyline and the characters that they had in it, I can see this movie like actually being good if they don't mess it up. They have enough material that they could actually pull off a good film.
I just, as an Alliance player, I can just really see them like.
Oh, see, that's what's wrong. I'm a Horde player, so that's why
course. You're gonna love it because they're gonna make the Horde look all pretty and all noble and everything.
What? No, they're gonna make the Horde look evil. The Alliance are the prancy pants.
No, they're gonna make Thrall the center character and how he's gonna be so noble and everything, and the evil Alliance is trying. Meh. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
EA. It really wouldn't be a Gamer's Dome if we don't have some form of a story about EA. The online passes, which were going to be discontinued for future games, are now being discontinued for all games.
Good job.
Yay.
I'm glad they're doing it. You should have done it like 3 freaking years ago.
Yeah, well, this is one of those, I guess, better late than never. I mean, at least recognize that you've screwed up and fix your screw up. So, yeah.
No, I'm definitely glad that they're pulling it.
Yeah, EA Corporate Communications Representative John Riesberg told Game Informer that, quote, as we discontinue Online Pass for our new EA titles, we are also in the process of eliminating it from all our existing EA titles as well. We heard the feedback from players and decided to do away with Online Pass altogether.
pretty, I want to say smart, but honestly, like they couldn't really say this without saying, okay, guys, we heard you, because that was one of the main things is not even people who are near and listening to your audience. So
Yep.
yeah, that's a little expected that they said it that way, but okay, I'll take it.
So, and the last thing that I'm going to mention right now is I was speaking of Magic Modern Masters. It releases June 7th. I can tell you as a Magic player, I'm excited about this. It's going to be cool to see some of those cards, which were starting to become less accessible for Modern. They will all of a sudden become more accessible. The set's really been optimized for drafting. There's a foil card in every pack. The MSRP on the packs will go to $6.99 per pack, and I've heard a lot of stores that are already pre-sold out of their allocation. It's going to be limited. If you guys can find a store, a local game store, that's running tournaments, you should check them out. I know Thou Shalt Game in Temecula, Shuffle and Cut in La Habra are a couple of places that are going to be running some events with Modern Masters. So you can contact those or your local game store and certainly figure out, because this is not going to be something you're going to be able to play for long. Take advantage of it while you can. So when we come back, we are going to be talking with Javier Palenzuela. He is the showrunner and executive producer of a really neat new series called Game Nights. He's going to tell us a little bit about that. When we come back, you are listening to the Gamers Dome on the Drawing Board Radio Network. So my PS3 recently crashed, and I thought it was dead. I didn't want to buy a new one. Then I found out about Fusion Electronics over in Huntington Park. In just over an hour, they had it working perfectly again. I can't thank those guys enough. Don't trash your old system when it breaks. Take it to my friends over at Fusion Electronics. Free estimates, 90-day warranty on all their work, and if they can't fix it, there's no charge. Any modern gaming systems, iPhones, and more. Call them today at 323-972-3376 or email them at fusionrepairs@gmail.com. Again, 323-972-3376 or fusion with the Z repairs@gmail.com. You need it fixed, they've got you covered.
Attention techno fans, you're listening to Electro Motion by Studiotronics, just one of the many exciting tracks from their album Straight from the Source. Stimulate your brain and get your body moving to these high-energy cuts. Also, check out their newest single available for download, Electro. Don't just sit there, get your fix for Studiotronics. Now available on iTunes, Amazon.com, and CDBaby.com. Are you looking for Magic the Gathering singles? Shuffle and Cut Games' friendly staff has provided gamers one of the internet's biggest selections of singles since 2000. And if you have extra cards you don't need anymore, Shuffle and Cut Games has one of the most extensive buy lists around, paying top dollar for your unwanted cards. If you live near our La Habra, California location, come down and play in our weekly Friday night Magic tournaments. For more info, visit shuffleandcut.com. That's shuffleandcut.com. Shuffle and Cut Games, your source for Magic the Gathering.
Welcome back to the Gamers Dome. So,
why do you always pause right there? You put me on the spot, man.
well, yeah.
I have nothing to say. You're welcome back. I mean, gosh.
I don't know. I like to pause there. Okay. How about we just move into this part? Okay. Our guest at this time, as I said before the break, is the showrunner and executive producer of a really neat new series called Game Nights. Its first episode is out in beta, so everyone can check it out. We posted it to the Facebook page, so if you haven't seen it already, you really need to get over there and take a peek at it. Everyone welcome Javier Palenzuela. Hey, Javier, how's it going?
Javier.
Thanks for having me. It's going great so far.
Excellent. So, I've seen it. I know Amber's seen it. a few of our listeners have seen it, but for those who have not seen Game Nights, could you tell us a little bit about what it is?
Well, Game Nights is a show that's half animated and half live action about a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons type players, tabletop role playing players. They get together once a week and basically escape their lives, or sometimes mundane or sometimes challenging lives, by pretending to be somebody else, in a tabletop role playing game. And we kind of meld the two worlds as we kind of explore the psychology of why people game and what why and sort of one of the age old questions of like, if you could be anybody, who would you be? Or if you could change anything, what would you change? But with a lot of comedy in it, not as deep as it sounds.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I watched it and I was laughing, and it certainly seems like something that a lot of your tabletop gamers are just going to be like, okay, you just get it.
Yeah, that's the hope. The hope is to really kind of expose. I remember I used to play a lot of role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games growing up. I mean, just for years and years and years. And I just think it's so great. And I just remember, like, these adventures that would happen. And it's sort of like this shared memory I have with only certain people on this planet, And I'd like to sort of expose that, not just, I don't want to make a show just for gamers, but I want other people to kind of see, because they get it, which is great, but other people to see why we do it, in a sense that, like, with the animation, it gives me the opportunity to show what these people are envisioning in their heads. So that way people, and I've seen some of these shows out there already that exist that basically have, the characters playing other characters, but they just dress them up in, like, fantastic clothing and run around in the woods. And I'm not saying that's bad or anything. But I guess, if that's one way to do it. And also, our show has just a different sensibility, a lot more comedy. Where their comedy is more like Hercules and Xena, I think ours is more like South Parky.
No, it really is. Actually, that's a really good. I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah. And as a guy who really likes South Park.
Yeah, well, our goal is also, we're all about satire and parody, and it's sort of an homage. Instead of Dungeons and Dragons, they play a game called Beasties and Bygones, and the game is kind of a twisted version of D&D. Sort of like we went through a lot of the Monsters Manual and all the books and all the races, and just kind of took a satirical twist on all the different characters. Like, for example, our main character, animated character, is Frodo the Hobbit, and he's a black hobbit.
Yes.
So
So someone has this on in the background. You might want to mute it. I can hear the echo.
Oh. Well, the show, Frodo, J.R.R. Tolkien never had any black hobbits, and I think that's, I'm not saying that's racist of him, but I'm just very progressive with my fantasy thinking.
Well, it's funny. I mean.
He carries his arrows in his afro because he's an archer. So, and a lot of the different other monsters and creatures they fight, like in the pilot episode, which is also available at, it's not, I don't know if you saw both. We also did a pilot which sort of tested our technology, and we're gonna redo the pilot, but it's out there right now, a 15-minute version of it, and it's they fight vampire mimes called mimepires. So
Nice.
When they pretend to bite you, you turn into a mime.
So, is it just from
That's terrifying.
Is it just from your own personal time doing this that you came up with the idea for this, or what actually got you from the idea of actually doing this and thinking this is something that I would want to put on film?
Well, it's interesting. I've always loved gaming, and I was working at a job in Pasadena with a friend of mine, and we would just take walks to the coffee shop at lunch, and or in the morning, and I would just share. He was a gamer, happened to be a gamer as well. And we would just share stories, these crazy, interesting stories that would happen in this imaginary world that never really existed, and you kind of feel schizophrenic, but it was fun. And I've always written sketches, and I do stand-up comedy, and so comedy is just definitely one of the things that it heavily influenced me. And I remember when I used to run games a lot, there was a comedic element to all. People would just sort of goof off, and before you know it, like insane things are happening. And as it's because I know this player, I know his character is going to do something silly. So we would just tell these stories back and forth, and then it all started with the story of a friend of mine who had a huge crush on a girl, and she. I mean, I'm not going to say she didn't want anything to do with him, but she wasn't romantically interested, and she was off dating other guys. But they had this very intimate relationship, and it was on the phone where they played D&D, just one-on-one.
Huh.
And and in the game they were married with a baby, and they had this long hair, and they played for years, and he was pining away after her, and she was heavily interested in him in the game, and so it just became like this this meta world. And I started telling the story, and it just got funnier and funnier, and I said, you know what, like that's where the idea just came in to have a show about the gamers and why they game, and and to sort of cut between real life. And so in the show, the main character, he's married, in the game he's married to the girl that he likes, but in real life they barely know each other, and they're playing in this D&D game or B&B game. And so we explore their relationships, not just in the game but out of the game. Like for example, they could have one. Imagine if, like, your girlfriend in the game is dating somebody else out of the game.
Yeah, I could kind of see where that might get a little bit weird.
And a lot of stuff like that did happen. It was sort of a little incestuous world, where I grew up in Miami, playing a lot of these games and going to the gaming stores. And so we have our own gaming store, and but all with a very satirical twist. And the game is very silly, but what happens to them in the real world situations are not. Like, for example, one of the characters, he's the guy who plays Frodo in real life. He's actually a very funny comic, and I've worked with him before out here in LA. His name is Nathan Hurd, and he's actually his character is even more meta in a sense. In real life, he's an African American albino, so from the South.
Oh my gosh!
So, I mean, it's tough to have red hair in the South.
Yes.
So his comedy is hysterical, and I would recommend checking him out. But on the show, the character that he plays actually has, he's kind of a goofball, and in real life he has these impulses to do like, chaotic things. So he gets in trouble constantly, and eventually he goes to jail twice, and he has one more, and he's going to go for a long time for these very silly things. So they send him to a psychotherapist, and the psychotherapist starts telling him, hey, let's try some clinical role playing. And he's like, role playing? Oh, that's brilliant. That's what I'll do. So throughout the game, he channels his aggressions and impulses through the game, and that's what keeps him out of jail. I mean, it's very important for this character to make it to his D&D game, because if he doesn't make it, like he might end up egging the governor's mansion. He just has very little control over his impulses, and he's very.
Well, I can't wait to see more of this show. It sounds awesome. So for our listeners who have maybe seen episode 1 or even haven't seen episode 1, where can they get more information about the show and to figure out about like future episodes?
Well, the first place for information would be the Facebook page, facebook.com/game nights. It's game nights with a K. So and also there's the main page. The website's being redesigned now, called criticalhitmedia.com, and you can always follow me at Directed by Me on Twitter.
Directed by Me on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, Javier, thank you very much. And so is the whole thing filmed already? Like, is it already in the can, or are you guys still filming more?
We're still filming more. We shot the first 2 episodes. The problem with this show, well, I wouldn't say it's a problem, but it's also it's half animated. So we shoot a lot of live action, and then we go into a lot of post production. So the animation takes for the pilot, which was 15 minutes long, and I think it only had about 4 minutes of animation. We spent about 400 hours. The two of us, Edward Shannon, who also executive produces it, and also I'll just say the latest episode was directed by Stana Milanovic, and she's just a brilliant director. And I think that if you ever get to check out the pilot and you see where we've changed and grown, I think she brings a lot to the table. Yeah,
Stana is actually how I found out about this project and you, and she's brilliant. So it is. I can't wait to actually see that. So if you ever happen to need extras on future episodes, I know a guy who's willing.
Oh well, we do. The great part about the show is that I like to cycle through characters because in game sessions a lot of times this person doesn't show up. Another reason why I created the show also satisfies a creative urge, but also the urge to create in a sense that I have always been restricted with scheduling and locations. And with this show, I get one location just about. I mean, sometimes we shoot a little bit of outside stuff, but one location, everybody there at the same time around a table. And then we shoot Kevin Smithy style dialogue, around the table, and then we go into animation mode. So it's easy for me to also, because the nature of gaming, it's easy for me to cycle and introduce new characters, new players, and new animated characters every episode. And since there's 5 slots in a typical, not counting the game master at the table, yeah, there's definitely room for, and we're working towards a big convention scene where we're going to need a lot of extras. And
well, I could tell you if you happen to need anyone, we're friends on Facebook.
Well, hey, you're a gamer, so that works for me.
Definitely. Well, Javier, thank you so much for coming on and giving us a little insight into the series.
Well, thank you. And it was nice to meet you, Amber, and it was nice to meet you.
Okay.
You too.
Have a good day.
You too.
So, game nights. Guys.
Nights, KNIGHTS.
Correct. Episode 1 is on the Facebook page. And if you're not already subscribed to our Facebook page, do it. It's facebook.com/thegamersdome. Check it out there. So, when we come back, we're going to have on one of our very good guests, or very good friends of the show. You might remember him from episode 10. Jeff Zandi is going to come on. They've recently done the Guildmage meeting 800, which we alluded to back then. We're going to talk about that, a few other things going on there in that Texas Magic scene, and we're going to get his impressions on Modern Masters. And then we'll talk about what we're playing and Kickstarters and all that stuff. So you are listening to The Gamers Dome on the Drawing Board Radio Network. Do you need professional, reliable dog walkers, house sitters, or cageless in-home boarding? Check out my friends over at Leash and Lodge. They use GPS tracking for their walks, so you know they're always showing up when they say they do. With a 5-star Yelp average, they're the only guys you need to know. When you sign up, mention promo code DOME to get $15 off your first invoice. Check them out now at leashandlodge.com. That's leash, A-N-D, lodge.com. Leash and Lodge, because the better way is finally here.
Do you have a bookshelf full of comic books right next to the one full of video games? Are you a Whovian? A Trekkie? Do you aim to misbehave? Are you friends with Leonard and Sheldon? Do you tabletop with Will? If you answered yes to any of these, I have a new podcast for you. Digital Nerdage, the nerd culture podcast, visits everything in the world of nerd. Check it out at www.digitalnerdage.com.
Attention Magic the Gathering players. 10 Packs is a strategy guide aimed at teaching beginner and intermediate players how to approach the Gatecrash booster draft format through the eyes of 4 of the world's greatest players. They include Pro Tour champion Luis Scott Vargas, Pro Tour top 8er Melissa De Tora, Magic Hall of Famer Rafael Levy, and Pro Tour Gatecrash champion Tom Martell. Each pro examines 10 packs of Gatecrash as if they were the first packs opened in a high-level competition. They weigh the merits of each card, giving explanations as to why they'd pick a particular card over the others. They detail various draft archetypes in the set, and in many cases discuss the general draft strategies underlying their respective decisions. In Part 1, each author examines the same 5 packs, giving the reader their in-depth analysis of each pack. In Part 2, the authors each examine 5 unique packs on their own, giving the reader a grand total of 25 Gatecrash booster packs reviewed. Their professional insights will give you the knowledge you need to elevate your drafting abilities to the next level. 10 packs is only $7.99 and available now in the Amazon bookstore. Just search the store for 10 packs and check it out now.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Gamers Dome, and this is me saying it without a pause.
I was okay. All right. it!
Okay.
I was going to say something.
Hi, Monster. Okay. So
Waits till we're on air.
So you guys may remember him from episode 10. We have Jeff Zandi joining us here in segment 3. Hey, Jeff, how is it going?
It's going great, guys. It's wonderful to be back here on the Gamers Dome. Insert a short pause after Gamers Dome.
I have to open by thanking you. Jeff did a nice little spotlight on yours truly for mtgfanatic.com, and I was flattered and blown away by it. So I humbly thank you for that. That was really cool for me to read.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad you liked it. I don't think it's good enough to add to your resume, but I'm glad you liked it, and I hope that it helped a lot of people, find out about the show.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping so too. But no, I really liked. I kind of liked the way that you summed me up in the first sentence. I've actually used that since you've written that. I actually used it the other day to describe myself to some people who didn't really know me yet. So about maybe you liked me, maybe I grew on you, or maybe you just despised me, but you can't ignore me.
Right, and you'll take that, is what you're saying.
I really will. Well, I'll take it because it's true. So, okay. So, Jeff, I know that you guys recently had, and just saying this just blows me away, Texas Guildmage meeting number 800. I mean, I'm sitting here doing a weekly show. I'm at 21. You guys are 800. That's insane.
Do you watch the Jimmy Fallon TV show by any chance?
Not often. I have caught it before, though.
Well, they are making me a little mad. They, at the beginning of every show, the Roots, the house band, they not every show, but almost every show, they sound off the name of the episode, the number of the episode for that show, and they passed my weekly 800 with their 5-day-a-week 800th broadcast. 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's like, come on, you guys, you're doing 5 a week. I only get to do 1 a week.
Yeah, they cheat a little bit. It's like they're more at 160.
But it is. But I mean, I think it's funny when I see other people being nerdy and counting things because I'm nerdy and I like to count things.
Yes. Okay,
It's hard to compete with someone who has the Roots as
That's
his
true.
backup band.
That's true.
That's true.
That's an awful lot of street cred for the gooniest guy from Saturday Night Live ever.
Yes. Yes.
But Guildmage 800 was super fun. We I got to throw the love out every time I mention it to Area 51 Games and Collectibles, this awesome store in Grapevine that let us have it. And they haven't had a PTQ in there yet, but I believe they've checked all the boxes, for Wizards that are going to be necessary to have them holding those kinds of events, because they can fit 150 or so, which is about what we get for PTQs down here in Texas these days.
Yeah. No,
but we used a lot of that space that night. He didn't kick out his regular Tuesday night people. They just kind of made fences around us, and it was a little awkward because we were the special ones that night. We had pizza and drinks and food of all kinds, and we're playing this special tournament, and everyone doesn't get to play, just the invited ones. Wah.
Yeah, I was hearing about all the fun going on there, about some of these special tournaments and some of the prizes you were giving out. I was jealous. I'm like, I'm stuck in California. I want to be there.
It was pretty cool. We made these. We took 4 Boros charms and 4 of the new art Sacred Foundries, and sent them to this guy in Oklahoma City that I saw his card modification work recently, and it was so cool that I had to talk him into it. He gave me a price that he would do to do mods to these 8 cards, and then he didn't wasn't that, and I went for it immediately. I said, that sounds perfect. I'll totally accept that rate. And then he well, I'm pretty busy. I don't know if I can get to him quick enough. I literally had to raise his rate in order to get him interested enough to go ahead and commit. But he did a great job, and that was like a very cool gift to be able to give to the top 8 finishers, something they couldn't go and buy in a store.
Yeah, exactly. It was something that's very unique, and I mean, that's it. There's 4 and 4, and if you were there, you got one, and if you weren't, well, sorry.
And everyone got we don't do T-shirts every time that we have one of these, basically every 2 years. Every time we pass 100 meetings, then we make the 100th meeting a big deal. So this is the 8th time we've done that since we got started back in 1996. But there's always some cool bling. This time it was a T-shirt with Hunter Burton's picture on it because he's been most recently our biggest Showboat Pro player. I mean, David Williams was with us almost at the very beginning, and then Neil Reeves kind of really took that role 6, 7, 8 years ago, and then in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, it's been Hunter Burton. He had a top 8 at Pro Tour Austin 2009, so he got to have his picture on the T-shirt, and it's been kind of a popular T-shirt in the area at tournaments lately.
Well, you mentioned Neil Reeves in there. I know he opened a new store out there, Misewell Games, I think it was.
Yeah, and I thought that would be a terrible name for when he showed me his business card as he passed through town down here to fly to Vegas a month ago for big gaming industry thing. You might know more about it than I do.
Yeah, he was probably at Gamma.
Gamma.
Yep, absolutely.
That's right.
I was there as well. Though I didn't see him, but didn't. It's easy enough for paths to not cross at that convention. So
right, but he was probably glued to his buddy Bob Marr Jr. A lot at I forgot the name of that awesome distributor company that Bob Marr. Lots of Magic guys when they leave the Pro Tour, they end up opening stores. Bob Marr, he's a notch above. So when he gets out of Magic, he doesn't buy a store. He buys the biggest game distributor in the United States.
Wait. Well, I know a few of them. There's Alliance. There's ACD.
That's it.
ACD? Yeah.
ACD is Bob's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know.
But, of course, every once in a while, someone will tell you they own something, and that maybe he owns part. I haven't had a look at the books or anything, but I'm told that that's Bob Marr's outfit.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, now that I sit here and think about it, I do seem to remember hearing something about Bob being involved. I mean, when I owned a store, we did business with ACD, so I'm familiar with them.
But it is interesting how the pros of yesteryear, they find a way to keep their beak wet in games, even when they can't stick to that Pro Tour grind year after year after year.
Some of us start podcasts.
Right, that's right.
So how did the grand opening for the store go?
Oh, it was great. His store is in beautiful little Conway, Arkansas, which, again, everyone's not in a big hurry to rush to Little Rock every weekend to play Magic either, but Conway is a small town just outside, half an hour outside of Little Rock, and Neil, his home base he grew up near there in another little town in Arkansas, but he's been living in Conway for a while, and he decided to open this store. And this guy, I've never seen anything like this, to have his first store be 10,000 square feet.
Ooh, well, in fairness, it's Conway, Arkansas, but
well, that's true too. This was his space was once a grocery store. That's how big it is. And he's using it all immediately. He doesn't have under construction. One day, if I make enough money, we'll have this. No, he's really dived in with both feet, and he got a partner who could help him build. His partner built from scratch the Warhammer tables because they got to be a certain. There's some specifications for Warhammer and those other miniature games, and this guy, very talented, built these fixtures for Neil. So Neil's got room right this minute. Up there in Conway, he's got tables set for about 150 or 200 in the back area of the room for Magic. Plus, he's got half dozen of these giant Warhammer tables, totally not crowded anything else. If he wanted to, he could put 500-600 people in there for Magic. Those were Grand Prix sizes. 10 or 12 years ago. Yeah,
and I actually, during this conversation, I actually have brought up the Facebook page for them, and this is enormous. Enormous. This store is huge.
So he wanted, right off the bat, his grand opening event this last Saturday to be as big a Magic tournament as he could get. So he gave everybody a free entry for a standard tournament that would pay out $500 cash to the top 8, and he gave away several $100s of other things as door prizes. I mean, boxes of Dragon's Maze boosters, and he's got his own play mats, and he gave away a bunch of those, and he's got his own T-shirts, and he gave away a lot of those. That guy, considering they used to pick on me about me wanting to put the Texas Guildmage's logo on his forehead or anywhere else that I could, he has really branded out this facility in a big way. And he has dice. Like a lot of people get dice made with their store emblem on them, but at his store, those are also gift certificates. So you can get a $20 giant 6-sided that literally is money in your pocket when you're walking around. And unfortunately, if you want to keep the dice, well, then you're not going to... It's your choice. You can either keep the cool-looking dice or you can turn it in and get $20 worth of stuff.
That's interesting. That's actually a very interesting concept. No, the store looks awesome.
And he did get what he wanted. He wanted to break 75 because that's the statistically valuable number for Wizards, once again, in order to be considered a big enough, able enough store to hold a Pro Tour qualifier. So one of the high level boxes you got to check is you got to make that 75-man tournament. So he just did it on opening day.
Yeah, why wait?
Why wait? But he has a couple other little. Conway is small, like 50,000 people, but I don't know what that population means. It's got three different colleges in that town. Oh, and so that figure may be, maybe the permanent people that live there. There's a lot of gamers in that town. There's a couple of two other stores that are definitely small in comparison that he's. There's no other way to put it, that he'll be battling with in the long run. But it's definitely good for, if you're a Magic player in Conway, Arkansas, things got a lot better for you last Saturday with the grand opening of this store. And Neil, the most important thing for Neil is that he's happy with it as much as Neil's a curmudgeon a little bit at heart. And so he'll complain a little bit about, anything. But he's very excited and he's doing a great job. And it's a great access to beginning players go in there every day, and they've got chatty Neil Reeves helping them build their first Magic decks. And that would have been fantastic when I was starting to play Magic to have a resource like that.
Yep. Well, moving on to other resources that are coming out. Let's hit Modern Masters here a little bit. So it looks like, from everything I can gather now, that we have a fully, if you would believe MTG Salvation, which they've generally been pretty good as far as
that's true.
As far as their spoilers, it looks like we have a fully spoiled set. So I just want to get your opinion on the set overall. Like, what do you think about the choices for cards? And for those who don't know, Modern Masters is a reprint set. It's all reprints of stuff that's been printed basically in the last 10 years that's legal in the modern environment, and hopefully making some of these cards a little bit more accessible than they might have been otherwise, and not having things like $100 rares Tarmogoyf
Right.
and other ones getting up there. So what are your thoughts on like some of the choices and things like? I mean, obviously we haven't been able to get our hands on it to actually draft it or play sealed with it yet. But what are your initial thoughts?
Well, I have been, confused and delighted by this product as soon as it was announced, and pretty much some people say that Tarmogoyf was announced as soon as they announced it. Some people said it was a couple of weeks later. In any event, the first time I cared was when I heard Tarmogoyf was being reprinted. But I'm also confused by the set in that, I have 4 Tarmogoyfs already, and I have 4 Dark Confidants, and I have all the rest of the cards too. It's a little confusing to me, for sure who the set's for. I mean, it's clearly for modern players, and Wizards definitely wants modern to be a thing. They really want it to be the other format besides standard that people really play. I have a feeling that Wizards isn't going to be very subtle with the way that they're supporting modern with a product like Modern Masters, possibly at the detriment going down the road to Legacy. And I just don't see how that can be helped, because they're honor bound not to reprint the cards that people need the most for Legacy, which are dual lands. So Modern Masters does serve that purpose, but it's really a conundrum for me, a guy that likes to buy sets when they come out, because we've been in it long enough to remember Chronicles, the last time that Wizards made a full reprint set that wasn't for standard. And actually, of course, the difference is I think Chronicles was for standard. Yeah, those were standard ready cards.
Yep, it was. And if I remember correctly, wasn't Chronicles one of the sets in the old home decapped format?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Literally. So literally, even though some of those cards were in other sets that were in standard, you could all So that made it very interesting how you decided what set from home decapped, which of the 5 sets that were legal for that format. One of them was Chronicles. You're absolutely right. But for Modern Masters, so that's very interesting.
Hang on, real quick. I just want to, for anyone out there who wasn't playing Magic like that in infinite years ago, home decapped was a very weird format where you had to play at least 5 cards between your main and your board from every set that was legal at the time. So you were required to play 5 Fallen Empires and 5 Homelands and 5 Chronicles and
right.
Yeah, exactly. So it was,
and we called it home decapped because the set you wanted least to play cards from was Homelands.
Yeah, I seem to recall there were many a deck with 4 serrated arrows and 1 Autumn Willow.
Exactly, or like the first Pro Tour used that format, and the Pro Tour top 8 decks, I've played with for all these years. So the winner, the champion, the unlikely champion of Pro Tour 1, his name is escaping me.
Michael Lecanto, I believe.
Exactly, Michael Lecanto, Massachusetts' own Michael Lecanto. He not only had a Wizards, there's a land, Wizards something, Wizards Tower, Wizards something. It's a home decapped. It's a Homelands stretch land. Pay several other mana in order to float it through this land in order to get another color. Basically, it was a 3-color land. And yep, he had it. I swear, I think he might have had it main, but it might have been in the board. But anyway, he was using his Homelands cards, and most other people weren't. Like you said, it was serrated arrows in the sideboard and 1 random Autumn Willow or something. But anyway, Modern Masters is going to have a better fate, right? I mean, if you're sitting around on boxes of Chronicles, well, that's too bad. You shouldn't have done that. But I guess we're supposed to believe Modern Masters is solid gold from day one this Friday. But I'm not so sure. I'm the guy holding out, kind of wondering. In other words, some people say that the card values that when you look at Modern Masters, you're thinking about, wow, they're reprinting this card. That card's worth $7. Wow, they're reprinting this card. That card's worth $10. Yeah, but are all those cards worth that money after you add all of the Modern Masters? I don't know. So I think a lot of the card prices probably do come down. Maybe not drastically, but some, and that's going to mean that Modern Masters, as a set that you can rip open in order to get amazing treasure out of it, may be a little disappointing.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I know that it's a limited run, and the MSRP is 7 instead of 4. And I mean, if you're Wizards and you can print money, it seems like printing money is a good thing.
You'd think so.
So, I mean, and they're already. I'm hearing about $30 drafts with this stuff because it's so hard to get and everything. And I agree. I mean, it's an interesting, definitely from a value perspective of having these cards reprinted. I mean, there's that mix between the old school players that already have the stuff and don't need this, and players that maybe got in later but would still like to be able to play Modern, and then the value of the cards, and then the implied investment values versus card values maybe getting to a place that Wizards didn't see. Because obviously they're not ignorant that there is a secondary market and the value on these things, but maybe they saw things like the Tarmogoyf prices and saying, listen, this is just not what we intended. We never intended it to get to this level. We need to do something to correct the market a little bit. For whatever reason, they've done it, and
if Wizards really didn't care about the secondary market, these boosters would cost $4 a piece.
Yes.
And there would be 36 boosters in a box instead of 24. So I feel like both of those angles, the more expensive MSRP and the smaller number of boosters in the box, they just mess up all the math of us speculators, for, I'm going to buy a bunch of these as cheap as I can and I'm going to rip them open. And when you do, you're going to have a bunch of, let's see, I've got all the rares listed here. You're going to have a lot of Death Clouds. You're going to have a lot of Adakar Valkyries. You're going to have a lot of Glenedra Archmages.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, every deck's got their dime rares.
Right. So there are a number of cards that will take my breath away to open a booster and see Dark Confidant with new art, and to get another Tarmogoyf. That will be really, really cool. But everyone needs to cool down. There's going to be a lot of junk. There's going to be when you and me run into each other at Grand Prix Las Vegas in a couple of weeks, and I'm excited that I'm going to get to go. There's going to be halfway through the day, or for sure on Sunday, there's going to be piles of these amazing cards we're really looking forward to just laying around on tables that people were not interested enough in carrying off their commons and 3/4 of the uncommons. You know what I mean? They're not going to leave their path of peace and various things like that, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that the reality of the fact that this is just a reprint set is going to hit at some point.
Yep, I agree. Well, Jeff, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate having you on, and it's always good to catch up with you, and I look forward to seeing you in Vegas, and hopefully at some point we can do battle on day 2. Let's wait to day 2 to do it, though.
That's a great idea.
Matter of fact,
I look forward to making that happen.
Matter of fact, if we can wait until somewhere in the top 8, that would be even better.
That'd be the best. Let's just go ahead and meet in the finals on Sunday.
Why not?
And then that way we'll get to go to a Pro Tour too. It'll be really awesome. I just want to thank you for the time again, and my shameless plug, as always, is to send your listeners to mtgfanatic.com for the many interesting articles that go up there. If you go to only one Magic website today, well, it should probably be magicthegathering.com, but if you go to 2 or 3 Magic websites today, try to make one of them MTG Fanatic.
mtgfanatic.com. Jeff, thank you so much.
Good night, and it was good to talk to you too, Amber. See you later.
Yeah, have a good one.
Night. Always good to have Jeff on. He's got the greatest stories, and he's been around. He's an original. He's been around the game forever, so it's always great to have him on the show. So I would like to hit at this point, and let's figure out where are we at? Oh. So for the Kickstarter this week, normally I have a new Kickstarter, but with I believe it's like 3 days left to go. Guys, if you haven't backed Hex yet, back Hex. They have got some crazy support. They're unlocking new stretch goals because they've already hit the other ones. They've got tablet support. Like, they just beefed up some of the levels as far as like what you get. Some of the tiers are sold out, but there's still quite a few left that are not sold out. If you're not in this, you're going to kick yourself later because you're going to want to be in it. So just go to Kickstarter and search for Hex. And you've only got a couple days left, so get in on it. How much gaming have we actually done over the last week? I feel bad because I run a gaming podcast, but this week, well, for one, we're running on a short week, so I can certainly understand that. I know myself, I've been filming on the movie, and I've had a lot of other stuff, so I haven't gotten a lot of time outside of Magic. And
I have not been able to play a game aside from like randomly checking what's on my iPad. I haven't been able to. I've been doing more like watching Twitch or whatever than I have been able to actually play this week. So I have nothing for what I've been playing this week.
Yeah, and outside of Magic, about the only thing I've got is Candy Crush. And to be honest, I'm kind of sad that I'm saying that. That game it sucks you back in. It sucks you back in. It's an addicting game. Don't play it, guys. Don't play it. Don't touch it. Don't go anywhere near it. It will ruin your life and your pocketbook.
See, I have still not paid. I've not spent a single dime on that game. Refuse.
Yeah, well, it preys off frustration, and I spent a few dollars yesterday on a level that was really frustrating me when I was really tired. And I'm like, fine, I just don't want to play this level anymore. Here, give me 5 more moves. No, give me 5 more. No, give me 5 more. Yeah, it was frustrating.
Yeah. That's not good.
So here we are at the end. Another show here in the books. Everyone who is sponsoring the show, I thank you guys. You guys are awesome. If anyone's interested in sponsoring the show, always feel free to give me a write, scott@thegamersdome.com. Also, make sure you're following us on Twitter at The Gamers Dome, Facebook The Gamers Dome, everything. And everyone who has assisted with the show this week, thank you. Love you guys. Any last thoughts, Amber?
No. I'm gonna go try and play a video game.
Yeah, I need to get some gaming in myself. So and we're back normal time next week on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Until then, I am Scott.
And I'm Amber.
And keep playing, everyone.